Hey everybody, this is Bobo the Vulture, and it's time for more Let's Play Gran Turismo 2. And when you saw us last time, I guess I was running around the Escudo because I was finishing all those exciting rally races, right? Yeah, and I eventually got one of those Civics so that I could get that accomplishment off my back. I have 95 cars right now. That's one less than before because I sold one of my Speed 12s because I want $1 million. I want it. I wanted to accomplish my next goals. My next goals are to get a car that I'm hoping can be as fast as I think it is cool, which is to say the Jaguar XJ220. Yes. Now, a later car that came out not long after the XJ220, which is one of the many things that helped squash the XJ220, is the XJR15, if I'm remembering my history right. But it doesn't matter. We're going for the XJR220. Meteorite, titanium, that's very slick looking. Carnival, Alpine, emerald green. British Racing Green, solid. Mistral. Antigua. It looks really awesome in gray. I feel like I have to have it in green though. And while BRG, British Racing Green, would be the thing that you would get it in ordinarily, we can't do that. Well, I mean, we could do it, but it doesn't show up as well on this screen. Now I don't have very much money. What can we do, though? Can we get stuff for this car? Does it already have everything it needs? Does it already have all the racing slicks? It already has all the racing slicks. Bet it's already got some trick suspension and stuff. Does it have trick drivetrain? It's not available. That stuff's already all been set up. Basically, there's only two things that you can do with this car, because that's already all been done. First, a little bit of background. This car was originally intended to have a V12 engine in it and be all-wheel drive when it was originally shown as a show car in, I believe, 1988. Those were the specs that were promised. Something like well over 1,000 people, like 1,300, 1,400 thereabouts, put down deposits of 50,000 pounds each. And this was during the late 80s, which was a crazy heyday for get it white, you can get it yellow. I'm gonna say white. Alright, so we've performed racing modification. We don't have much money left. Let's go to the turbo shop. You can update the turbo, because it didn't end up having a V12. It ended up having a turbocharged V6, which was a racing engine Jaguar had used before. Alright, 880. Just short. But our target is going to be 945 horsepower. I tell you what, rather than going and racing in this thing, although I probably still should do that, maybe what I can do is find a car I won't mind getting rid of, because I could always just win it again. Actually, there aren't that many cars that I just have as prize cars sitting around that I can remember how to go back and pick up again easily. So maybe what I will do, actually, just as a warm-up with the XJ220, is to take it to the special event and play money-making game with it and get another Speed 12 to sell. Hopefully the Speed 12 won't mind. It'll be giving up its own being to help out this fellow fabulous British supercar. The XJR 220. Let's try it here. Let's see what happens. And bearing in mind that right now it has maybe... it has a fraction of the power that it will have. I wouldn't say it's going to have twice the power, but it'll have, it'll have a good bit more than it already has got. So we've got that to think about when we are seeing that we're not actually keeping great pace with these guys. As I recall, the XJ220 is a car that will show up in these events, so there might be one of them ahead of us here. We don't even know. Now, of course, this is a mid-engine car, although it's only a V6 in the back and not a V12, so in theory, it should be less sort of like strange weight at the back of it, sort of swinging us around. Although, wow, it actually was stable through that turn, which I can't say about just about any other car I've ever had in this game. At least the first time around. We need to find a way to catch up with these yokes. This ain't funny. Alright, so, well, that sort of shook us around a little bit. We're not going to gain a lot of positions there. But I'm actually relatively pleased with the behavior of the car. I was expecting it was going to slide all over the place. Granted, bear in mind, it was originally designed around the idea of holding a V12, so while they did chop some of the length of the car off and try and lighten it a little bit, and they realized they weren't going to be trying to fit a V12 in there. It's still bigger than the... It's still a bigger, heavier car than the two cars that we're sort of aiming at, which were the big supercars of the late 80s, the Ferrari F40 and the Porsche 959. So, still a little bit heavier a car than those. Although it was the fastest production car in the world for about a year until the McLaren F1 came out. McLaren F1 sat on that throne for a little while. And of course, who dethrones any of these cars ends up being subjective on what you consider a production car, blah, 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 blah. That sort of thing, and so forth. I'm getting passed on the straights. This is bad. So the gearing on this is probably a little too high for the power that it currently has. We can get that supercharger, that turbocharger on it later. Maybe we'll be able to make up something, and we won't have to adjust the gearing. It'll certainly still be good to check it, see how it tops out. I don't even know what the prize money is for this. Probably still not enough to Certainly in a fourth place finishing position. Won't be enough to finish getting us the turbocharger of our dreams. Alright, so tell you what, that kind of maneuvering would not fly in racing of today. Maybe not even in racing of that time, but it'll fly in Gran Turismo. Yeah, this car is a little hefty. But I'm hoping the power will overcome that, and I'm hoping the handling, as relatively nice as it is for a mid-engineer. Oh, you know what? I have regular tires on this. I don't have slicks. I don't know how much that would affect top speed, but it might have helped the handling even a bit more. Well, I think I saw what car that was that just beat us to the finish. So, that was the lead. It wasn't the XJR15 I was thinking it might have been. Alright, well, anyways. It was good to do that race anyways, because I need a little bit of a warm-up. It's been a while since I played the game. Oh, that'll still be enough to get us the turbocharger. The one part we require. Oh, little Hazel. Little Hazel the cat sitting there on the arm of this couch. Being cute, taking a nap. Just weird, because it's the, like, you know, middle of the night. You would think that this would be the time she'd be up and at 'em, because, you know, cats are nocturnal creatures. But they pretty much just do a lot of sleeping. That's kind of one of their things. She's alright, though. She's alright, that girl's alright. So, yeah. Let's get 945 horsepower going. 541 to 945. Hopefully we'll feel that difference. Intercooler? No. Okay. So I tell you what, we're now going to go racing. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go endurance racing. Boys. Wait, this isn't the endurance racing category. Let's go to the endurance racing category. Yeah, here we go. Let's try the Laguna Seca 200 miler. The feeling we'll have all kinds of interesting machinery here, although it may be focused more on the Japanese GT style machinery. I always forget exactly what ends up being in these. Let's put hard tires on this so that we don't have to stop as often. And let's do a test run here so that we know that the car will be tractable. And that we're going to be able to get the most out of the settings and gearing and stuff. Got a peaky little engine in it, I guess. I have to stir it in first gear occasionally. Let's see, do we actually get it up to 5th gear here? Do we actually get it up? No. So, there are two things that we could do here in the settings. Okay. Oh, let's go to parts setting. There you go. Gerhay. It was at 23, right? Let's set it to 13. First of all. Then this downforce. What if I just move it 5 clicks over? What if I move it 10 clicks over on either side? And this, while it will probably make the tires wear out faster, should improve handling. Oh, I didn't mean to actually start the race. Whoops. Oh well, we're gonna have to pretend that we had to make some changes after the last test session, and it turned out that we didn't have time to test them on the track for the actual race. Get it back under control here. It's because I was having control problems out there. Alright, now we may be hitting the rev limiter here, which could be a problem. Or maybe I magically got all the settings right for this sort of a sprint. Still gonna have to be careful driving it, though. You have to be very careful driving it. Gonna have to be careful on the corkscrew every time. Just gonna have to budget that I will lose time there. This is honestly not going near as bad as I would have expected, considering I didn't have a chance to test this settings out. I would not necessarily want to set the car up like this for a lot of tracks, but there's not a whole lot of long acceleration in Laguna Seca, so... So we're actually kind of okay. So yes, the XJR220 was originally designed as like a weekend project for some of the engineers at Jaguar. So they got together and put up for fun. Part of the concept behind it was Jaguar had a lot of sports car racing success in the 80s, which was sort of a crazy heyday for sports cars. They weren't the most successful make in the 80s. That honor pretty much inarguably went to Porsche. They, with the 962, I forget, either way. But yes, Porsche, they had the top honors at Le Mans more often than not. But Jaguar were competitive in the overall World Endurance Championship. I can't remember if they were calling it the World Endurance Championship at the time. It is what they call it now. But the cars that they were using, because of Group C rules. Group B were the rallying rules. The rules were called Group C. It was a fairly liberal from an engineering standpoint. You'd sort of do all kinds of stuff. There were certain rules about fuel consumption, I think, but in terms of like shape, engines that you could use and all that sort of thing, they were incredibly fast cars, but they bore very little visual resemblance to a road car that you might see. Now that said, a couple of the Group C cars, people like took them and made road cars out of them by like putting mirrors on them. They're not something you would actually want to drive on the road, but they're like, hey, we made it legal, road legal, you should totally buy this. It was just sort of silliness and excess of the 80s, because that's when it was, the 80s. But this sprang out of a concept of, well, hey, what if we made a Jaguar that you could take to Le Mans and race and bore some passing resemblance to a Jaguar? Now, obviously, this doesn't look like a Jaguar, but they figured they could split the difference with this design. It would look something Jaguar-y. Oh there, bossy. And so they got to work making a car like this. The car was debuted on the show circuit in 1988. People loved it. People flipped over it because it is a super sweet looking car. I mean, holy mother of holy mothers. It's an amazing looking car, and that sort of low slung, wide, sexy, mid-engined 80s supercar mold. And of course, in the 80s, at that point in time, it was the go-go 80s, and people were, willing to invest in just about anything. Stock, bond, collectible baseball cards, all kinds of stuff. And exotic cars and collector cars were no exception. And so a lot of people put deposits down on this thinking, hey, this car is going to go up in value because it's going to be a super collector's item and amazing. And it took a lot more time to get to production than they initially imagined. One, they didn't have production capacity for it, Jaguar. So the cars were actually made by a factory set up by Tom Walkinshaw of Tom Walkinshaw Racing, who was the team that was running Jaguar's World Endurance Championship efforts that had garnered them so much success. Eventually, they had to rule out the V12 for a couple of reasons. One, it was very heavy. It didn't fit in the car quite right. The cars that they were trying to target in terms of speed, the Porsche 959 and the Ferrari F40, had much smaller turbocharged engines. Instead of a big naturally aspirated engine like the V12 they were going for. Originally it was going to be an all-wheel drive design, and they eventually gave up on. They eventually gave up on that, did they not? I have the impression they gave up on that. So it would have been more complicated than they knew what to do with. And Jaguar hadn't really built any all-wheel drive cars at that point for the all-wheel drive road cars. Well, this is going to be very stressful, because I'm clearly not pulling away rapidly. As the pack is starting to thin out, I'm remaining in front, and I have a very slight lead over the second place car. But all it's going to take is getting that corner wrong, or that S wrong, I should say. Getting the corkscrew wrong at Laguna Seca. All it'll take is getting that wrong a little bit, and I'll pretty much be done for. I don't even know who's in second place. I'm about to find out. Alright. Come on, Bobo. Let's keep it crispy. Catching up again. Oh boy, that's one of those crazy supercar supers, isn't it? Alright, let's get back to form. I know the car is capable of more than this. I want all of you to stop hitting me. It's not nice. Well, 1/10 of the race in, and things have gone downhill in a huge old hurry. My gosh. The moment the tires started to remotely go off, apparently I have lost the ability to maintain the car. I've just got to concentrate, buckle down. I clearly have a speed advantage over these other cars. In outright speed. In stability, they may have an edge on me. That may just be from my driving behavior, but it may be that they have more stable cars. Let's not rule out the possibility that they're... Well, that was an interesting way to move into second place. but I won't look the gift in the mouth. Alright, now let's go about the earnest business of tracking down this Supra. Are we gaining? Well, that's another new way to take the corkscrew, alright. And if I keep doing things like that, obviously I am never going to gain appropriate ground on the leader. Unless the leader has opted for super soft tires, and I can stay out longer. No. Believe it or not, I more or less raced that section fair. I maybe dive bombed in the first turn a little bit later than would be ordinarily expected, but gave him room on the outside, and gave him room on the inside when I was on the outside, so for Gran Turismo levels of competitiveness, that's downright gentlemanly. I do wish there was a way I could feather the throttle in first and second just a little. It's not a good feeling to have the tires completely losing traction every time through that turn, and of course through the corkscrew. In case you're curious, this car was driven in Le Mans once or twice in the early 90s. Gosh, don't snap around like me like that on me. Don't snap around like me on that. So it didn't achieve quite the same level of success as the Group B Jaguars of the 80s that preceded it. Is this going to, in the end, work? am I going to catch up to this rascally culprit? It's an excellent question for us all to ponder over the next long while. Now ponder this, if you will. I could get to lap 89 or 90 of this race and have built up a fragile lead again. And then what would I do if I got to the corkscrew, started spinning? Oh boy, I've already cooked the rears on this, and that other guy's showing no signs of stopping. Looks like a lot of other people have also just stopped. Because I only see 3 cars still out on track that aren't way, way back. I'm thinking I might want to stop for tires this go around, though. I'm thinking he's thinking the same thing. He is. We're on the same pit strategy. Which means I'm in first until he drives back out. Yes. Alright, so I have no advantage in that respect. I just have to be faster on fresh tires. I have to be faster overall. Faster overall through a stint. I was about to say I've caught up a little, and then I realized, well, I'm not measuring section for section, because I remembered last time I looked up and saw a sector split, it was 7.2 or something like that, and that one was 6 something. Oh, it's 5. Wow. Well, let's not jinx it. Let's not jinx it, but perhaps I am faster on fresh tires than this guy. If I can be faster on fresh tires than this guy, and just not make mistakes once I've caught up, or gained some time, maybe I can hang. Maybe this will work out. This is not where I like to be plotting my strategy from. I would much rather be in the lead, trying to figure out how best to manage the gap backwards. Seeing whether or not I have the luxury of taking stops for tires whenever I want, or whether I need to make them hold out. Alright, let's just reel them in progressively. We're down to 2 seconds. Tempting to try and get him in that hairpin, but that is a place that will end in tears if you get it wrong, as he knows, because that's how he got in front of me. That sector would have gone significantly better if I'd spent any of it on the pavement. Yep, going into corners too hot because I see him now, and that is putting the red mist in my eyes. I need to shake it off and just drive sensibly. I have to win a 90-lap endurance race at this track with really having no good idea of how you make your way through the corkscrew. There's one turn where I'm just like, I don't know what you should do. Alright, let's turn on the afterburners here, try and catch up. Well, with all that said, we were still 3/10 closer. There we go. Made a pass for the lead. I don't think I'll necessarily be able to keep it. He can probably get around me in the corkscrew here if, well, unless I actually go through it sanely but too slowly, which will actually block his progress. I balked him. At very low speeds, you don't want to tramp on the gas pedal here. That's kind of one of the lessons we are learning. And by we, I mean me. You may not be learning this lesson, or you may have already known that lesson. You may already know full well how to play this game and how to win. I kind of do. I mean, I've won the game before. It's been a while. It's been a while since I won the game. But, I'll be honest, this part of the game is the part of the game that I like less. I don't really enjoy the extra high horsepower, extra crazy, super fast super cars. I much prefer the sort of lightweight, agile, nimble little cars. Remember there was, I guess it's called the Pirelli World Challenge now. I was thinking of the Speed Vision Cup, the Speed World Challenge, as it also has been called at varying times. There's a guy, like, in the early 2000s that used to race in that series. And he raced a Honda Civic hatchback, and it was not the fastest car. But on handling intensive courses, he had a little bit of... He wouldn't... I mean, like... He... You know, there were other, like, semi-pro and professional teams that would get ahead of this guy. But, you know, like, he could sort of had a better chance to sort of dice in some of those handling courses. His name was Roger Fu. And I always remember I was watching those broadcasts, and Derek Daly, who was an Irish-born former Formula One driver and lives in the United States now after having spent many years in Indy cars. His son Connor actually races in Indy Lights and here and there now. But Derek Daly never really dropped the accent quite as much. And you would hear him, he would be doing the color commentary on those races, and he'd be saying, "Our man Fu, because he just seemed to really like the idea of Roger Fu. Our man Fu in that nimble little Honda Civic. It was an amusing tale for sure. Oh. Did the exact same thing the last stint. I can't do that. I can't brake later. I can't brake late going into the hairpin there. I will just lose the car, and I will lose lots of time trying to get things right again, and I will get past. Can't allow that to happen. You know, actually keeping through as straight as possible through there seems to be one method that might work. Yeah, keeping straight as you accelerate, or you get through times when the tires do not have very much traction, is a very helpful thing to try and be doing here. In this middle section, I just have great edge here, so it would seem. This is where I can really pull away. Got mid-range acceleration. Come on. Keep it straight. Keep it going. Don't get psyched out. Do not lose it because you know that there is a bad guy behind you. Alright, going to strategy. We got 7 more laps on these tires. Maybe 6. Either way, coming in at 30. You get what I'm saying. We will be coming in at 30. Then we will be coming in at 45. Then we will be coming in at 60. Then we will be coming in at 75. Then we will be finishing the race on 90. Thing just loves to swing through there. It's the king of swing, Cesaro. Wonder what the cross audience is for this Let's Play of Gran Turismo 2 and the king of swing, Cesaro. Cesaro is a professional wrestler. He's from Switzerland, if I'm remembering right. And he does a giant swing, which is not a very common move, but it's pretty amusing. You grab the guy by the ankles, basically by the legs, and you spin him around and around you. So you just start like spinning yourself around in circles, and that guy's out on the outside. And then you just let him go. Woo! Let's keep this car going. excellent way through. An excellent drive. Okay, I'm just going stream of consciousness at this point. Just jabbering to keep this thing from being absolutely silent. Because I'm having to give it so much concentration because this car is such a tricky little misty. It is a misty. I don't know if I was going to go for Mistress there, or Mr., or Missy, or what. But I ended up coming up with someone who is a dedicated fan of Mystery Science Theater 3000. A Misty. Call them MSTIE, Misties. Because MST is Mystery Science. You guys understand how letters work. You could have pieced that together. Even if you didn't know. Some of you probably already knew. Some of you probably are. I mean, I enjoy Mystery Science Theater, I'm not gonna lie. Of course they have Rift Tracks now, and Cinematic Titanic. There are lots of other spin-offs that don't involve the actual cast members of that TV show that get done in theaters, especially theater draft houses across the country. This is where you can order a beer and have food while you enjoy the movie and someone else is also mocking it. That is a professional comedian. Yeah, happens a lot, as it turns out. By the way, support your local cinema draft house. Oh, and please allow me to live. Yeah. That went okay. Alright, so if I can stay ahead for this stint, hopefully I can use part of the next stint to open up a gap. We'll see whether or not that comes to fruition. Man, this is tense. I don't want to give up. And obviously at this point I'm kind of committed. I'm at least almost a third of the way through. And that was a slow run through there, but at least it was a smooth run. I say, and then have messed up the exit enough that I almost went off the road. There you are, you son of a guy. I'm hearing my PlayStation start to complain. I've been on for 40 minutes. This is ridiculous that you expect this much of me. It's gonna be a long video now that I think about it. Ooh, Nelly. I may stop it at the pit stop here. And see where we are then. Because stop it back there. Alright. Actually, I think that's what I'm going to do. Oh geez, that wasn't even really out of the realm of good driving. I don't know if he's going to stay out one. Alright, so I'm going to be in second during this pit stop. I don't know how I feel about this, folks. I don't know how I feel about it at all. I kind of don't feel good about it. Oh, well. I guess when we come back next time, folks, I'm going to have to determine whether or not next time I want to drive until lap 46, then go in, or 45, and then go in so that I'm coming out on 46. You understand what I'm saying. Basically, it's all going to depend on the outlaps here. And my performance as time goes by. Well, it is pretty much just me and this guy. I think he's in a crazy Supra, but you know, pixels. It's hard to get a good glimpse. But it does seem to be down to me and him. Everybody else does seem to have fallen back. So, challenge! This is Bobo the Vulture. This is Let's Play Gran Turismo 2. Thanks very much for watching. When we come back next time, more challenge. Bye-bye.